Nigerians and every other African watching from anywhere in the world. It's so good to be here. And as usual, we'll be delving into national headlines making waves across the country. And you know, I am not here alone. I have my colleagues who are looking gorgeous as usual. Hi, Godwin.
Hello, Chinatu. Good morning.
It's good to be here. It's good to have you.
Yeah.
Hi, Adewale.
Good morning. It's a good Friday.
Yeah, it's Good Friday. And you know, I understand that the country is currently hot. I mean, the weather is not funny. It's not smiling. But regardless, we are here to give you insightful conversation and opinions about national dailies. So, Godwin, I think we just take it from you.
Yeah, Chinatu, this morning we're looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria and its policy of 500 billion naira policy. Well, days after urging Nigerian banks to expedite action on the recapitalization of their capital base in order to strengthen the financial system, the Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday, March 28, 2024, unveiled new minimum capital requirements for banks, pegging the minimum capital base for commercial banks with international authorization at 500 billion naira. Confirming this in Abuja on Thursday, March 28, 2024, the Acting Director of Corporate Communications Department, Mrs. Akama Sidi Ali, said the new minimum capital base for commercial banks with national authorization is now 200 billion naira, while the new requirement for those with regional authorization is 50 billion naira. Now, what this implies is that right now, Nigerian market, banks in general, their capitalization base for them to do business in Nigeria, and they must keep at least a minimum of 200 billion naira for do business in Nigeria, while those from the regional countries that have extensions, they can now do at least keep a minimum deposit of about 50 billion naira. Now, in addition to this is, I'm looking at a point where how many Nigerian banks as it stands right now can afford 500 billion, 200 billion, and even 50 billion? Wouldn't this lead to a case where we have a lot of banks folding up or merging, that's liquidating at this point in time? So I don't know what the central bank hopes to achieve with this capitalization base, because last time it was done, I think it was around 25 billion naira. I don't know why it moved from 25 billion right now. In the face of dwindling economic challenges, we're moving this capitalization base too. I don't know, but I know Wale is more of a CBN spokesperson.
I think that's another story. I don't know how to take that, whether a compliment or something else. But actually, looking at this policy from the Central Bank of Nigeria, we've seen the CBN do a lot of things. First, we had them increase the interest rates. We had them pay off all the debt and the forex exchange that Nigeria has been withholding for a number of years to boost confidence with international investors. So I think this direction that we now have from the federal government, from the CBN per se, that they should will be increased to 500 billion. So we're looking at some banks having to merge together. I think this is a step in the right direction. No matter how we want to cater for the banks and say how perhaps this is complicating their business ideas and whatnot, I think it also says something about the people itself, because people have their money in the banks and they need to be aware. We need to have investors' confidence that make sure that the money that they put in bank for the bank to lend out to people is in safe hands, and whether or not they incur losses along the way, their money will always come back to them. And we've seen organizations even in China, like the Evergrande, the real estate company in China, having to pack up because they cannot be able to do the things that they liquidate lots of their assets. So I think this is a step in the right direction. Let's have them increase it. If you cannot do things together, merge together. And we also hope that they would not have to tax a lot of Nigerians to do this, because a lot of people are saying that they don't get a lot of deduction from their account without even having a debit alert from their account. So I think the CBN has to regulate that as well. That, of course, there are a lot of charges that has to be made, but they should be regulated appropriately.
Yeah, I think what Godwin and you have said are really salient points, because if you're going to look at it from two ways, Godwin is raising a point where, are we sure that this won't lead to a lot of corruption? I'm talking about once we have people start money laundering, because they are trying to raise the money and then, work with banks to ensure that they have the capital. And then in another way, are we also sure that we won't have a situation where the banks have to fall back on customers to raise this money? And then you start seeing 10 naira gone, 15 naira, and then you calculate all of this, it sums up to a substantial amount. But then I think the CBN is doing this to protect the customers too. They are doing this because if you have a capital base, it just means that whatever happens, fluctuations does not affect your business. You just try. Yeah, nothing affects you. But then we just want to be sure that there's a balance all round. You're not falling back on the customers to raise that money in a way. And then you're not pushing banks to fold. I mean, if banks fold, people are going to go out of jobs. People will go back hungry. And then what happens? And you are talking about collaboration, but how smooth does all of that run?
I'm even looking at, in the face of this, the timing for this policy, that's what I'm even looking at. As it stands right now, are we set to take this kind of monetary policy? Is it the right timing? Knowing that Nigeria is trying to recover from inflation and other economic crisis that we are having in the country. Is this the right time?
Is this the right time?
So I think the CBN can do better in terms of boost the economy. Let us have a balance, some form of balance in the economy. Then we cannot begin to introduce monetary policies that will not aid the entire monetary force in the country by looking at your open market operations. Then ensure that every person, every department is supposed to function, are all function, and then we can now talk about recapitalizations and for the banks as it stands right now.
Exactly. I think that's what we would look at. Of course, this is just a policy that has been announced. If they're going to look at monitoring and evaluation, very important. How far can banks do it? How legitimately are they getting their money? I think all of that has to be looked at thoroughly.
Yeah, I'm very sure the policymakers will take feedback seriously and act accordingly. Moving on from there, now we go to the Punch, where the court has freed 313 Boko Haram suspects. The Federal High Court in Borno ordered the release of no fewer than 313 suspected terrorists arrested by the military. The court ordered their release for lack of evidence to nail them. This was, as the defense headquarters said yesterday, that troops neutralized 121 terrorists, apprehended 253, and rescued 244 kidnapped hostages in different operations nationwide in 1 week. The Director of Defense Media Operation, Major General Buba Edward, disclosed this during the briefing on military operations across the country yesterday in Abuja. He assured that the military would comply with the court order and release the suspected terrorists to the state government. So Godwin Adediwale, when I saw this headline, I just had to pause. Where are we as a country? What is really happening with our security outfits? How do we have 313 persons being asked to be freed by the courts? At what point do we say we are arresting these people? At what point do we say we are freeing them? Wale?
I think the court has, for any case at the court, it has to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. And I think this has been proven beyond reasonable doubt, that these suspected people to be terrorists are actually innocent. And they've been kept for a very long time. We're not told for how long they've been kept in captivity. But now the court has decided that these 313 people has to be released, and perhaps there's going to be compensation for them as well. But I think it speaks about the issue of corruption, the issue of insecurity in the country as well. Because if you look at to the inception of this problem of Boko Haram in the country, for over 10 years, we've had the issue of Boko Haram in the country. It started in 2014. And since that time, we've watched documentaries, we've seen a lot of research, a lot of newspaper companies, outfits, a lot of media outfits that carried out different research about people who have been apprehended on the street and have been faced to go through different ordeals just as to be labeled as a terrorist in the country. So what exactly are we doing? How can we make sure that innocent people are not being apprehended and are being made to suffer for a number of years before they are being given the chance to go to even to the court and be released by the court itself? I think that speaks a lot about the kind of processes that we have as a country. Because if you just take people and you keep them in your captivity, you fed them for all the number of months or years that they've been there, you've done a lot of legal processes that the government has to pay for, you've taken them in custody, and a lot of time that you wasted to do all of this thing, and they're all coming out as innocent. I think somebody should be punished for that. That the number of people have been cared for a number of years or number of months, we're not told, and now they are being innocent, they're being proven as innocent. then that means the culprits are still somewhere out there in the open. That's what we're still talking about, the Delta killing. Now we're seeing people that innocent people are being taken, are being punished, communities are being raised. How can we make sure that those that perpetrate these atrocities are those that are punished in the country, and innocents should never have to face this? And also in cases where the court has decided that they should be compensated with a certain amount of money, we've seen over and over again that is not being paid.
That's true.
And I think that's a problem, Godwin.
Wale, a lot of problems to talk about this morning. But then 313 suspected Boko Haram being freed. This calls for concern. What was the criteria in which they were picked in the first place?
Exactly.
These are questions we need to start asking. If people are suspect, and we're not talking about suspects from the Nigerian police force, we're talking about suspects that are being raided by the Nigerian army. As before the Nigerian army could pick you up, it means they've done due diligence. And we get to court, are you telling me that the Nigerian army could not prove beyond reasonable doubt and beyond all shadows of doubt that these 313 people were not? So how did they pick them? Is this another case of where people are being picked, and at the long run we tag them as suspect because there is nothing to show that to nail them with? So this really calls for concern, and it's worrisome in the country. But what I think at this point is a situation of this nature. Somebody needs to be called to the book. Somebody needs to be held and be punished for this. We keep sweeping things off the carpet. These are civilians that were raided, that were arrested, and right now they're being freed. We now ask, Q ipso custodiet ipso custodis. It's a legal maxim, Q ipso custodiet ipso custodis, which simply means that who watches the watchdog? Right now, these people have been picked up. Now the court have freed them. The people that pick them up, who ensures that these people get sanctioned?
So Godwin, like you just mentioned, I really think that innocent people should not be apprehended for the crimes of other people. We don't want people going back into the society and they're not psychologically intact. We want to ensure that all of that is curbed. So Wale, it's now back to you.
Exactly. Just like you said, everybody should have rights to fair hearing, and I think this is what has happened. Today is President Tinubu's birthday. We're taking a next story from the Sun newspaper, and we've seen a lot of reactions and a lot of comments and accolades pour in from different directions. Now we're having from Kalu and Otu, hail Tinubu at 72. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Privatization, Dr. Orji Uzo Kalu, and the Governor of Cross River State, Senator Basi Otu, have congratulated President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his 72nd birthday anniversary. Kalu, who describes Tinubu as bold, courageous, and patriotic, acknowledged the invaluable contributions of the president to the growth and sustenance of Nigeria's democracy. The former governor applauded the political dexterity of the president in building a united and prosperous Nigeria, adding that Tinubu has continually demonstrated leadership in all facets of life. And congratulations and happy birthday to President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Today we're supposed to have a colloquium, and we reported the other day that it was cancelled because of the issue of insecurity that we're facing in the country. But looking at the reaction from people all over the world, different people, and precisely Nigeria, a lot of governors, senators, and political people, people in the business community are wishing the president a happy 72nd birthday. And we've seen a lot of accolades have been coming out, even from the one we've just taken now. He's been described as a courageous man, as someone who is democratic in his principle. And I think the president would be feeling fly right now. Even though the celebration is very minute, it's very quiet, we still wish him a happy, fulfilled life.
Yeah, Wale, at this point, from all of us here, we're saying happy birthday to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and may God Almighty bring all your heart desires to pass and also grant you all your heart desires, especially your best wishes for Nigerians. From here, we can say we just need to add our own voice. We cannot allow Governor 2 and Kalu to overshadow our voice. No way.
Send
a congratulatory message as well.
Exactly. So, it's just hearty felicitations, and we just hope that he uses this year as a reminder to do better things for Nigerians. I mean, what happens during birthdays is that people reflect, and I just hope he has that reflection, especially for Nigerians, as a Nigerian president.
Yeah, it's not only reflecting for himself, but reflecting for the country as well.
Yeah, most definitely.
Exactly, and I think that's where we draw the curtain.
Yeah, well, that's where we draw the curtain for today.
And that is where we draw the curtains on headline reviews today. My name is Chinatu Oji, and until I come your way again, it's bye for now.